Hi all, today we will continue to analyze the recently concluded one-day series between India and England. The last time we looked at the English team and what went right and wrong for them. Today we will specifically cast our eyes on the Indian team both on the batting and the bowling fronts on Cricket Centre. Now looking at India's batting, the batting has been fairly competent right through the series, and particular credit must go to the Indian openers. Rohit Sharma got injured, and as a result, Ajinkya Rahane got a chance to bat at the top of the order, and he grabbed that opportunity with both the hands. And both him and Shikhar Dhawan have been able to provide India with good starts for the rest of the batsmen to come and play freely. Now, if you look at the numbers, whenever the opening partnership is more than 100 runs, India invariably goes on to win the match. And they're able to post a sizable total of around 287. So it clearly goes to show that if the opening partnership is good, then it goes a long way in ensuring that India go ahead and win the game. Now the selectors actually have a choice to make in terms of who should be partnering Shikhar Dhawan at the top between Ajinkya Rahane and Rohit Sharma. We at Cricket Centre believe that Ajinkya Rahane might be a slightly better option because he seems to be a batsman who has the ability to get those singles and rotate the strike in the first 10 to 15 overs, whereas Rohit Sharma's dot ball percentage is very high at the top. Also, Ajinkya Rahane has performed in really tough conditions overseas, and given that the World Cup is going to be played in Australia and New Zealand, he might be able to combat those really tough conditions in terms of the bouncy tracks and the seamer-friendly tracks right up to the front. And Rohit Sharma can bat at 4, or the selectors can take a call between Rohit Sharma and Ambati Rayudu based on who is in better form. Now, if we cast our eyes on the rest of the batting, apart from Virat Kohli, I think most of the batting has done fairly competently. Virat Kohli's form right through the English summer has been a huge concern, but we at Cricket Centre believe that there is enough quality in Virat Kohli for him to come beyond this so-called trough that he's in right now. The other big positive for India has been Suresh Raina's form. He was actually dropped for the Asia Cup earlier this year, and I think he's gone back and worked on his game and come with a real resolve to not get dropped from the Indian ODI squad again. And he made that real impact right at the beginning of the series where he scored that brilliant counter-attacking 100, and that set the tone for the rest of the series. So Raina's form is a huge positive, and if he continues to play like this, he will be a very key part of that World Cup squad. Now looking at where India has done well again on the batting side, they have been able to build partnerships right through, except for the second wicket partnership, which has been low because of Kohli's form. They were able to get 50-run partnerships right throughout, and this is where England actually failed because they couldn't get those partnerships to get those really high totals. The other big advantage that India has and has been having for the past few years is their ability to make a real impact during the power play. You look at the numbers, Raina and Kohli have phenomenal strike rates during the power play, and they seem to be able to conjure 4s and 6s at will, and the strike rate is really high, and they're able to change the complexion of the game over the course of the power play. So that's another big positive that India have, and they would be able to do well with such attacking batsmen in the power play. Now we look at India's bowling. The big story at the bowling end for India has been the performance of the spinners. They have performed really well, and Dhoni has been able to control the matches and build his bowling around his spinners, both Ashwin and Jadeja, and he's also used the part-time spin of Raina to very good effect. Now you look at it, the English batsmen have not been able to get the spin away, have not been able to rotate the strike, and hence have not been able to set a platform like we discussed earlier. And thus Dhoni has actually had the luxury to bowl his spinners in the power play, and they've done fairly well as the numbers suggest. Their economy rates are slightly above 6, which are completely acceptable numbers from spinners, especially in the power play. Now you look at the number of balls that they take to concede a boundary. The spinners have done fabulously well. You look at somebody like Suresh Raina, who concedes a boundary only every 3.5 overs, and that is really phenomenal from somebody who's supposed to be a part-time spinner. It just shows also England's inability in getting the spinners away. The other good aspect of the bowling performance has been Mohammad Shami's return to form of sorts. Now, Mohammad Shami was looking completely listless and lackluster through the course of the Test series, and a lot was expected from him. and he failed to deliver. It looked like he was bowling with some kind of rhythm again in the one-day series. You look at the numbers, his back of length and the length balls, which are the stock balls, have done fairly well, and the economy rates for those two types of balls has been only 5.17 and 3.53. So he's been able to bowl with some pace, and he's able to bowl with some zip off the track. So that has been really good for India, and India will hope that he continues this form building up to the World Cup, because he'll be a key bowler in those bouncy conditions in Australia. Now you look at Jadeja and Ashwin, the way they've performed against right-hand and left-hand batsmen. As is intuitive, the bowler who is able to take the ball away from the batsman is able to be more effective. So Jadeja is more effective against the right-hand batsman, whereas Ashwin is more effective against the left-hand batsman. Now, there is some deliberation that can be possible on India's spin combination, and there could be a case made for playing the leg spinner Karan Sharma in India's 11 in Australia, and probably using the part-time options of Raina and Rohit Sharma to fill in for Ashwin. We will discuss that more in detail as we build up towards the World Cup. The other choice that the selectors would need to make would be for the position of the third seamer in the World Cup, assuming that Mohammad Shami and Bhuvneshwar Kumar are your first two picks. And India seem to have a few options in terms of who to play in the role of the third seamer. They have tried out Dhaval Kulkarni, Umesh Yadav and Mohit Sharma in the past series, and you could probably also throw in the name of an Ishant Sharma as a wild card, because he's done reasonably well in Australia in the past. Now, between Umesh Yadav and Mohit Sharma, Umesh Yadav has the extra pace, he has the ability to pick up wickets with his pace, but can be expensive and can particularly leak runs at the death. Whereas Mohit Sharma can bowl some good overs at the death because he has the variation of the back of the hand slower ball, and India could do with a decent death bowler, because it has been a problem that has been plaguing India in the one day format for a while now. So it's an interesting choice that the selectors would need to make. Overall, the series has been fairly eventful for both the teams, and it will be really interesting to see how the respective teams go about building their squad in the run up to the World Cup.